Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Adrian here. Welcome back to the channel and to the post-stream Rift Prime vlog for week number 5. As ever, I'm going to be sharing my experiences and my thoughts about Rift Prime over the past 7 days or more. And today's one is unfortunately of the negative variety. I'm going to be honest with you guys, this isn't the first version of this vlog that I recorded. I recorded the first one last night, and it was more of a rant, and I was just getting things off my chest, and I needed to sleep it off, calm down a little bit, and put some thought into it. And this second attempt, hopefully I'll try and explain things more in a calmer fashion, I suppose. So what's this about? It's really down to class balancing, especially nearing the cap for Rift Prime. For context, those of you that have been following my leveling journey, all my live streams and all my vlogs, you guys know I play a cleric. And the cleric has multiple different souls, which are class archetypes that you can set up to do various different roles, either on the landscape or in dungeons and group content. So as a cleric, I can heal, I can tank, I can do some AoE here and there, I can go support if I unlock or buy the soul, and then of course I got the strong single target DPS in the form of the Defiler and the Rune Shaper, which I haven't unlocked yet. Now this is going to be the same for all the other classes on Rift Prime. So the Rogue can do pretty much the same things, Warriors can do pretty much the same things, Mages as well. So what happened last night was something that I've seen people talk about in chat, but at the time I was so focused on my own leveling that I didn't think it would happen to me, which was just the toxic, from the community, just based on their expectations of what classes should be doing what at endgame. And it's truly frustrating. I ran 4 dungeons last night, all pugs, because when I was playing it, as an Oceanic guild, guildies are off late in the night for me. And I was 49. So the last 2 dungeons, the 48 to 50s, I can't remember what their name was, got unlocked. So I thought, oh hell, why not? I need the XP. I'm so close to 50. So I jumped in. And honestly, based on my experiences in that dungeon, if you are a new player right now, you just joined Rift Prime, and you're leveling anything but the Rogue or the Mage or even a Warrior, just stop what you're doing right now and just go reroll one of those classes, because that seems to be what the meta for classes is in Rift Prime. That's what the current endgame community expects. It's become so much of a cookie cutter thing, and the community just expects you to be in 1 or 2 roles in every dungeon, pug or guild, in order for you to be, efficient or to be contributing. Out of those 4 dungeons last night, I got kicked out of 2, and I chose to leave the other 2, simply because of how toxic things got. And it was really down to my preferred playstyle. As a cleric, I have 3 options. I can either tank, I can heal, or I can do DPS via the Kabbalist, which is the AoE build, or the Defiler, which is my preferred playstyle, single target dots. So in all those dungeons, I was put in groups where there were a bunch of mages that could do everything, mages tanking, mages healing, and then mages DPS. And I do have the add-on where the damage meter, tracks the damage done and everything. And honestly, I wasn't too far off the top DPS guy, which was a mage. And in the dungeon runs where I got kicked out, it was just put plainly to me that I'm playing my class wrong, or I'm playing Rift wrong, and they expected players, or people expect players who are not mages or not, warriors or whatever the top DPS class is, to match that DPS of a mage. And for me as a cleric, it just really, it's disheartening, and it pisses me off. And that was the theme of the dungeons throughout the night. I was just running with a bunch of mages, and the tanks and the healers were saying, okay, everybody who isn't a mage right now, you guys are completely useless and are shit. So bye-bye, we'll just grab more mages. And that's when I'm like, wow. Yeah, either it's my naivety of thinking that Rift is one of those games that, every class can be viable the way you want to play it at endgame, Or maybe it's just me not having the experience from the live version where, if you've been playing for a long time, then you definitely know which souls and which builds would work and everything. Me as a new player to Rift, those things aren't really things I think about when I pick a class and I go for the end game. So right now at level 49 and a half, I'm not looking forward to 50 anymore. I'm like, if that's what it's gonna be, if clerics and whatever really isn't up to scratch and can't match mages for end game, then screw it. I've wasted my time. And it's kind of disheartening, thinking about it now. Like, a lot of people, this one long dungeon chat discussion was about how people should re-roll and do mages until that gets nerfed. Some of the classes, even before I jumped onto Rift Prime, have already been nerfed. So it's like, based on what Tryon has done to these classes and the balance here, the community expects you to be using or playing sort of the best ones in game right now in order to have a chance or to clear a dungeon faster or whatever. It's just bullshit. So that's kind of disheartening for me because I put in so much time and effort to get my cleric to level 49. And right on the cusp of hitting level 50, then you see what the end game is like, what the community expects, what classes will more likely be chosen or are more effective than others. And for me, as somebody who loves to mix and match, my class utility wise, if I want DPS, I want a DPS. I want to have the freedom to be contributing as a DPS in a dungeon, instead of just, oh, I roll a cleric, so you're automatically the tank, you're automatically the healer. Fuck that. That's boring and that sucks. And unfortunately, that's what Rift Prime, at least from what I've seen over the last 2 days, is. That's what it is at endgame, basically. Classes, there's gonna be 2 classes that's gonna be way overpowered compared to the other classes. Especially this one particular class that can, tank very well, that can support really well, that can heal pretty damn good, and then DPS just blows everybody out of the water. Is it gonna get nerfed? There's talk about it. I don't know, but at the moment, the class meta, the class balance is really fucking things up for a lot of players, myself included, and it's just giving me no motivation whatsoever to continue, playing it after 50. There just isn't, because from a PvE group content perspective, I'm screwed. That means if I want to continue playing my cleric and moving on into the end game, then I have to be shoehorned into 2 roles, into 2 souls. And then, that's just the way it's got to be. And if I want to do my usual DPS things, then I have to go to PvP and do it there. Now, the problem with that on Rift Prime is the PvP at level 50 is a piece of shit. Because there's teams that are trading wins, and the matches apparently take longer to pop and all this stuff. So I'm not looking forward to PvP at 50. And judging by the current meta for classes for endgame group content PvE-wise, if it's going to be that divisive, and alienates everyone that isn't of an OP class or soul, what's left for me to do at level 50? Change my faction and quest? No. So, honestly, I think I'm done with Rift Prime in that regard, because there really isn't anything for me to pursue. I don't want to tank. I don't want to heal. I mean, I can if I put some time into it. That's just not my playstyle. I don't want to do that. So for players like me, there's no incentive really, honestly. Again, if you're a new player to Rift, take note of what's going on currently with classes. It's still a balancing act, and still trying to balance things, And I know for the small team over there at Trine Worlds, this is a hard task. I don't think they thought Prime was going to be a super huge success with all these players coming back to play and everything. But with where they're at, buffing one class and then the next week nerfing another. So a couple of classes got nerfed, clerics, warriors. So our DPS got down while the others stayed up. Now, for us to have a chance, it's either you bring everybody's DPS to a standard line or you put everybody on the same playing field. Because at the rate that it's going for dungeons and whatever, people only want a few classes for a few of these souls that are more effective, at trash mobs and stuff. And to be fair to clerics, I went to my AoE DPS soul, which was the Kabbalist or whatever, and I tried, doing my trash mob clearing like a good soldier, just trying to match the mage in the group for DPS. Nowhere near. Absolutely nowhere close. So that's what it is right now. The community expects, at least the pugging community expects, you to be of a certain class and soul build, cookie cutter basically. Anything else that is either creative or you're testing out a new soul or whatever, there's no place for that in dungeon runs whatsoever, which is sad. And yeah, I mean, I honestly last night I couldn't tell you what I was feeling. I was just so pissed off, and at the end of it, it was like, I spent a month and a week, putting all this work into the cleric, and then when you get to the end game, you just find out that you're one of the least sought after classes in game from a DPS standpoint or from a support standpoint. Whereas, like I said, if people who played Rift or whatever, I've talked to some of the veterans, they're like, oh, if you roll cleric, then hey, you're expected to DPS. You're expected to tank and heal. That's kind of sad. That's kind of boring. Not how I would play it. But if you're used to that, where the Holy Trinity in that regard very much shapes your experience at endgame, then you won't have a problem. Like for me, that just sucks for me. And I think what accentuates this suckiness is that Rift Prime only has 2 character slots, and somebody in that dungeon run told me, oh, go roll a mage then, or whatever, because that was the first time I kind of bit back, I suppose, which I never really do. But yeah, I said a couple of things, and yeah, the response I got was, well, boo-hoo, too bad, go roll a mage. And I'm like, whoop-de-doo, I'm not spending another freaking month just to put in the same effort and whatever to just go level the class of the month, if you will. That sucks. No, I'm not doing that, considering how slow and how grindy things are going to be, not just XP wise, but in terms of getting the planner right, and everything else, currency, gear, that you would do on one character. Now you got to go do it on another character that the community expects you to level. Fuck that. No, absolutely not doing it. And the limit on the 2 classes, so people who are playing the underwhelming classes, they have a decision to make. If I'm level 40 or whatever, am I gonna reroll now? I think the easiest option for a lot of people, and I have seen a lot of people say this, screw it, I'm just gonna quit the game. It's not worth my time and money anymore. I'm not that drastic, because I still have to review this game. That is my obligation. But yeah, I really don't have motivation to carry on now, considering that's what the community outlook is. Then that's horrible. So Tryon last week also announced that they've released a new PTS private test server for the Prime build, and I'm thinking, shit, you guys should have put this out earlier so that you guys could test all these class uneven, imbalanced bullshit stuff before unleashing it on the player base and having them be the guinea pigs, and wait 1.5 months before you start thinking about this seriously and deciding that, okay, balancing might be a thing, because now whatever you do to PvE is gonna affect the PvP. Leveling through dungeons into early levels, I kid you not, you probably have seen this on my streams too. Whatever build you bring into the dungeon from a DPS standpoint, you're fine. You guys are going to clear it. There's not going to be an issue. No one's going to tell you how you should play. And that is cool. But then anywhere above level 40, and then you start falling behind these OP classes, every fucking body's gonna be using the same soul from the same class to rack up those DPS numbers. And I guarantee you, if you are pugging, maybe sometimes even your own guild, I don't know, there's gonna be peer pressure on you to do the conventional. And that's it. Lame. So yeah, there's a new PTS server to test all these class balance changes. I put a link down there. You can see what they're talking about for certain classes and whether or not that affects you. But for me, when it comes to cleric in my class, I don't care anymore. I'm just gonna get to level 50. I'm gonna try get into healing. I'm not interested in that. I think it's just boring. Same goes to tanking. It's just not my playstyle. And I'll review the game. And then I've got a month left of my subscription. I'll probably go play live and make use of all those benefits and jump into Bless early or finish up ESO or something. But I think I'm done with Prime. And it's a real shame too, because I had things to talk about on this vlog other than this class imbalanced bullshit at level cap, which is just so infuriating. There were many positives, over the past 7 days, and I wanted to talk about the endgame zone questing for levels 40 to 50, especially the Shimmer Sand and Stillmore that I'm currently doing, where I would say Rift has a great way of tying up early quest arcs and bringing back old NPC characters that a couple of other big MMOs do, and Rift does it really well, and with like a few plot twists and everything that are interesting. I can speak for the Guardian side because that's the main faction that I play. Like for example, I'll give an example. You'll meet this dwarf called Scotty in Silverwood at the very beginning in the early levels, and then as you progress to the later zones, he makes more appearances, and then he grows as a character as well, and he has his own developmental arc, which you have some part to play in, and it's kind of nice seeing that evolution. So back in the mid levels, I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. And then for the main Guardian side of things, you've got Marshall Kane, who's a fellow Ascendant, and sorry if it's a spoiler, but I first met him and I thought, oh, okay, cool, this is another throwaway NPC character. It doesn't make much of a difference in the world of Rift and Talara. And then later on he appears in another zone, and then he starts to slowly get corrupted by Regulus' general and their mission and their plan and everything. Now in Stillmore, one of the final few zones, he goes full on evil, and he kills his best friend, who then gets brought back by the Vigil as an Extended as well. So that entire story arc is really cool, and something that I did not know was would develop into some main story continuity that a lot of MMOs don't do. So I was really pleased to see that, and yeah, that kind of makes me wonder what the expansions have in store when it comes to storytelling, because for a large majority of the game, it's been pretty underwhelming. I think I've said this in vlog 3 or something, where the landscape quests, they only scratch the surface in terms of what's happening in the zone, and then they give you all these backstory that are optional for you to read on through dialogues and the lots of lore books that you can pick up and everything. But there wasn't really a satisfying chain of main story that really fleshes out who you are, why you're here, what's the Vigil fighting for, what's the Guardians role in all of this and everything, and how that's gonna be tested by Regulus and everything. That only comes in a few story quests throughout each zone, but the final zone, Stillmore and Shimmer Sand, it's delivering on that story payoff that you've probably seen in a couple of strains of quests in the earlier zone. So I really thought that was cool, and that was the only positive, honestly, because besides that, once that's all done, once it's all over on the Prime server, you have to wait until whenever they release the expansion to go continue doing that, because there is no instant adventures, and then all you've got are these raiding activities to do, all these expert dungeons to do, which, as I said earlier, if you are not playing one of these popular classes with the popular souls, you're screwed. So there's nothing much for me to say, I suppose. I think I've just yapped on about this anymore. I'm just down. I'm just really feeling down. It might sound like I'm really bitter and messed up, hashtag bitter, hashtag QQ. That is truly the case, because I spent all this time leveling this cleric character, which at endgame nobody's gonna want, or I can't play him the way I want to play him. So, and I have no intention of re-rolling another character. I think that's stupid. So that's my thoughts about week 5. Is there gonna be another stream? I don't know. Maybe when I hit 50, I'll see what I can do, or I'll see what else I can show off. but expect to see the review very, very soon. I think I'm going to jump straight into that. And then maybe we can go have fun on the live version of Rift or something. So that's it from me. I mean, if you're a current Rift player, or Rift Prime player, I should say, on the Prime server, and if you have similar experiences, or if you have a completely opposite experience, which should happen too, because if you're in a really nice guild, they'll take care of you, and they'll take you regardless of your class and playstyle. So feel free to share your thoughts and opinions, or feel free to share what Tryon's doing wrong here. My opinion is that they have no idea how to fix class balance at the moment. They have no idea about how to make classes fun, all souls fun and viable in group situations, because I was of the impression that every soul would be viable. I was wrong. Anyway, that's it from me, you guys. It's kind of sad, because all Rift Prime is doing right now, the outlook is just forcing players in the community to accept cookie cutter builds, to accept the build of the month and go roll with it, which must really suck for players that have leveled a different class or an underwhelming class to get all this way, and then poof, it doesn't matter. Whoop-de-doo. Anyway, hit the like button for more videos, and if you're new here, feel free to subscribe to the channel for more MMO content. I cover all kinds of things. I've been doing Rift Prime for the last month or so, and you should see more fun stuff soon. So, once again, Adrian here, thanking you for watching. Hey, welcome to the end screen. If you've made it this far, it means you've watched the entire video, and I thank you very much for that. If you want to watch more videos, you can click the cards at the bottom here, anyone would do. And you can subscribe to my channel by hitting the big round button here to get notifications on all my latest videos. See you guys in the next video.